I'm on Queensland's incredible Fraser Island. We've travelled from the west to the east coast, hit the beach superhighway, met some dingoes, and stopped to watch a mighty wildfire as it burns to the coast. This is 75 Mile Beach, which runs the length of the east coast. Tonight I'm hoping to get back across the island to the west coast before sunset.
If you're ever going to get bogged, it is often on the approach or the departure to these beaches. They just get really soft and fluffy. They get a lot of traffic, and it can be a real problem for four-wheel drivers. But that is the time when you really want to have your tyre pressures nice and down, and often you want to get a bit of a run-up when you're coming off the hard sand. The hard sand can leapfrog you essentially through the soft sand. I'm not talking about 5,000 RPM and full-on pegging it, but I'm just talking about gathering the speed that you need to get into that soft stuff and through it, particularly when it gets soft and powdery.
Next is a small town of Orchard Beach, where you can fill up, get a bite to eat, and have a beer. There's no time for me to stop tonight because the sun is going down, but there is time for another sand driving tip.
When you're driving on the bitumen in your vehicle, there is an element of precision. You move your steering wheel half a centimetre and your vehicle will dart ever so slightly in one direction. So when you get on the sand, it's natural that you continue to do that you tug on the steering wheel. The difference is, nothing seems to happen on here. And it is for good reason. The tracks that are there, these deep sandy tracks, are going to steer your vehicle in pretty much the right direction. So it's a great idea to have far lighter hands on the wheel so that you're not really fighting against what's going on there. Your vehicle, thanks to its accelerator, will find the way that it wants to go. So if you have a look at my hands here, I'm not even touching the steering wheel, yet the vehicle is turning left and right and left and right. So it just shows you how little effort is really required getting your vehicle around these sandy tracks. Nice little bend there. The steering wheel's doing its thing and my hand is doing absolutely nothing.
This tip was brought to you by the Ford Ranger. The forest through here is literally glowing in a smoke-fueled sunset. The only way to top a drive like this is with a sight like this. I've made it to Wathumba Creek just in time.
Oh wow, the west coast of Fraser has delivered a slice of absolute paradise. In fact, editors, it's time to share this absolute beauty. Let's put on some dreamy music and show people a gorgeous 15-second montage of this place.
I spent the night at Wathumba Campground. There's only a handful of sites and the facilities are basic pit toilets. I make tracks early to get to the east coast because the tide is coming in. I want to get as far north as I can before the rising ocean blocks my way.
What a gorgeous way to start the day, cruising up the golden sands of Orchard Beach. We're on our way to Sandy Cape. Now Sandy Cape is the northernmost tip of Fraser Island, and it's one of those places you've just got to see it to believe it. It is the convergence of all sorts of sand, tides and crazy currents, and for me it is one of my favourite parts of the island, largely because so few people get up there. There's also a lighthouse up there, and if the tides permit, hopefully we can visit that too.
There's usually less traffic here because tourist buses and hire vehicles are not allowed north of Champagne Pools. The most difficult section of the whole beach run is just ahead. This is the rugged Ngkala Rocks. The inland track begins with a bumpy ride over Coffee Rock. there's a narrow canyon that's just wide enough to get through.
Slicing through this coffee rock, there's not too many options for failure here, but I'm going to drop my mirrors in because she is fairly skinny, so I shall drag in the clear views and just cruise on through. But it is a firm base here, nothing too much to worry about, but just take it easy, take your time.
This looks more difficult than it is. Just keep a close eye on the walls so you don't nudge the sides. But it's the next section that brings many unstuck. A long, winding run through very soft sand with little room for error. And as I arrive, 2 vehicles carrying 2 young families are bogged and they need help to get out. Next, a tricky situation.
If he tries to go forwards or backwards, he's actually going to smack into the Amrock here.
A turquoise ocean brimming with life as we experience the remote north of Fraser. And floating on a dream stream.
You feel a little bit like a platypus floating downstream here.
And make sure you check out the Mr. 4x4 app at mr4x4.com.au.